Alright, well, I got this electric fan here. It's a 12 volt DC electric fan for a car. It plugs into your cigarette lighter. And the complaint was you wiggle this wire right here and the fan will turn on, which now I cannot get it to turn on. Now there is a switch right here. I'm not sure what position it has to be in. Let's try the other way. Alright, well, before we even get into it, let's check for voltage coming out of the plug. Now the one with the white stripe right here, usually always is ground on DC devices, especially going for cars and whatnot. So pretty much just put your probe inside that one, and then on that one, and I don't get nothing out of it. Nothing, completely. So it must have came completely disconnected, and I actually got my power supply hooked up to this. It's 12 volt and ground. It's actually a computer power supply. The fan is on. So, well, to confirm that my power supply is working, I should probably test it first, right? 12 and ground. Yeah, I get about 11 volts, 12 volts. You know, that's enough. I mean, this power supply has been abused, so, and it's also connected to here. Your positive 12 volt would be at the tip, and your negative would be at the ground. And I also tried switching these, and it did no difference. So it's got to be in the plug here, which I cannot get it to do literally nothing. They must have played with it for a long period of time, and I don't know, they actually might have shorted out the fuse. So either that or they completely disconnected it from the soldering joint, either the ground or the positive here. Oh, well, I just actually pulled that completely out. I didn't even put very much pressure on it. So I was actually going to check the fuse, but I guess there's no point really in now to do that. Wow, I can't believe it. I didn't really put that much pressure into it. Well, let's see if the actual fan turns on. Put this right about here. Like I said, the one this here is negative, so that'd be ground. Put that there. Yep, turns on. So, okay, well, we know it's the plug. Well, that's good. Let's go ahead and take that apart and resolder the connections. But first, I want to get my soldering iron heated up. Good old trusty soldering iron. Okay. Lights on. Now let's get this taken apart here. Now usually these plugs come apart, but before I take this completely apart, make sure you check your fuse. And usually it'd be located inside here, but sometimes they're really hard to get off. So take you a pair of pliers and get on it like that. There we go. And then just unscrew it. And out will come your fuse. And as you can see, that fuse doesn't look burnt up or anything. And you want to, if it is, you want to replace it with the same type of fuse. You don't want to put a big fuse in it. This is a 250 volt at 250 T800 L250V. Huh. Usually it'll state the amperage, but on this one, that is actually the first one I've ever came across that didn't state the amperage. That's it's pretty weird. Anyway, I'd put it probably cigarette lighters are usually in your car. A 20 amp fuse, so replace it with a 20 amp at 250 volts or something like that. That's pretty much it. So that goes on there. Now it goes in here like that. And then there's supposed to be a spring. Yep, right here. Spring's still inside of it. Go ahead and take that spring out. And that spring actually puts tension on that plug here. So set that aside. And here's the nut that's on the back side of here. There's a screw. Set that to the side, and you can should be able to open this up. A point. Okay, well there's a little grommet or insert or something right here you have to take off, like just a chrome piece, just for looks. And then you can take it off just like that and pull it apart. Pretty much the positive lead, so this is the two halves here. The positive lead will be this middle right here, and you can see that it has a little solder connection right here, has a little bubble, and the wires actually broke off of it completely. And the fuse, well, the spring actually goes down into here and sits on top of this, and the power goes up through the spring and then through your fuse and up through that little piece. So that the middle is your positive and the outside is your negative. So your outside doesn't connect to that one, but it actually connects to this one here. So when you put it together, no. For some reason the positive or the negative doesn't actually touch this at all. It only touches this middle or this piece on this side. So, and this actually is a little rusty, so I'm going to go ahead and sand that too before I give it back to them. But let's get the pieces soldered together and put it back together. So what we need to do is get our wires here stripped down. I usually use a pair of pliers like this that has like a little hole in it. They make special wire strippers, but if you don't have one, you know, pretty much just pull them apart like that, but don't push too hard so you don't push too hard that you actually cut the wire. So, and like I said, they make special wire cutters for this that just strips the insulation off, and it makes a perfect cut. I got those out in the garage, but I don't have them with me, so just kind of go around and pull. There we go. That's actually a little too much. But get off as much as you can. Probably a couple inches away from where it broke off at, so that you don't have another problem, really. But from what I'm seeing right here, it just pretty much came disconnected from the solder points on the inside, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. And just cut them off, a little bit like that. Yeah, so you don't have too much there. And then take your soldering wire, try to put that up somewhere, something like that. And then tin your wires. There we go, finally. There we go, just like that. And then take your pieces here. And remember, this middle piece is your positive. So the one with the white stripe is usually negative. If you're not sure, check it with your multimeter. But I'm pretty positive that's negative, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it. There we are. There's that one. And then the negative is actually on this other half. And there we are. And those pieces ain't going to come off now. Stick them back down in there. And actually what I'm going to do, before I put it all back together, is use some hot glue, which I forgot to plug in, so I'm going to have to stop the video. I'm going to use some hot glue, put it in, pretty much where the solder connections are, and pretty much everywhere in between. Just down in here, just on the bottom half, so the wires, after continual use, they won't pop off again. So yeah, that's what I usually do with wires like this, that you have to have continual use. So I'll get back to you when I get this put back together. So we got the fan all hooked back up. The plug here, I just pretty much hot glued the connector in here, like I said. And on the inside of here, I hot glued all of the inside. So no matter how much you move this wire, the solder connections are not going to come loose from the inside. And this hot glue is pliable, so that you can just kind of peel it off if you have to ever service this plug again. Which these plugs are just so cheap. You can just cut the wire right here and just splice on another one. It's no big deal. But I got it hooked up to my power supply right here, 12 volts ground, and this is actually part of the fan here. It's either on or off. Yeah. So now the fan works. So if you ever have one of these style plugs that you have to wiggle the wire or kind of mess with it in the cigarette lighter or something, make sure these connections here are not rusty. Sand them down a little bit. But if they're nice and shiny, then it's probably not the problem. The problem is, try to wiggle this wire a little bit, see if you can't get it to start. If not, try checking the fuse. Take this little tip off here. Some of them actually do not come with a fuse. It's kind of weird, but they don't, and they're actually internal in the device themselves, so that you have to search for the fuse in the device. So then if the fuses are all good, open this up, check the connections on the inside of here, and resolder if necessary, and then it's good to go.